Alright, welcome back everyone. 欢迎大家回来。今天是第五百十天。It is day 510. Oh, 第十天. 510. We are going to start the dictionary thing now, I suppose, and probably focus on picking up some vocabulary at this point. Should really clear the queue. I did take a look. We activated the dictionary thing, so you have like a place for all your dictionary editions. It appears, and then you can do a dictionary search, which looks like it's your bare bones searching material. They can like enter pinging or a character. I wonder if it takes an IME. If not, this seems is good enough. They can like click on any of these, right? And then you then have the option of adding it to the front or the back of a queue, which can be very helpful in that way. And then obviously you have your pinging and your definition and any additional note. It also has auto generation for all of them, it seems.
旋即
Yeah. So all of the words are already generated with the sound, which is very helpful. Actually, it's a little beyond. I actually was expecting it not to be auto-generated. We'll give that a go. I think I'm gonna try to keep today on the short side. Might not even add words yet. It'll be typically where characters that do not have a vocabulary word yet. However, we haven't really been going into our vocabulary stack as quickly as I thought to gain access to it. However, we can add, I think the queue, the question is, I imagine the queue means to add it to the lesson queue as opposed to the review queue. You can always test that today. Get reviews here. Our characters. I'm kind of on the tired side. Like one or two lighter days. I dropped Liang yesterday on that.
Yi
Huh.
Bo
Hmm. Probably spinach, okay. That's a know it or you don't situation. Oh, we could. Oh no, there are words for spinach. Okay. Spinach is also added to pineapple. Idea? Idea.
Xi
Nope.
Zhu
Oh no, that's true. Jewel. Bore into the characteristic of a bug. Why does this look like a duffel?
Xia
Uh, like rosy clouds. Wait, does this have a? Oh, this does. It's in rosy clouds.
组
Oh, not ancestor. Group or oh no, curse. The word is the key. Curse. YOLO? Okay. Interest. How do you get interest? Chi. And how do I get chi? Oh, because of the right chi. Take. Could change this. Take a. Hmm. Yeah, it's okay. Oops,
领
that's Japanese. Hmm. Two possibilities.
含
Oh no. How do you, is it like Calvert? Oh no. This is a letter or envelope. Yeah. Calvert has something else next to it, like a spray. Juan. Suddenly. Okay. And then what does suddenly realize? Oh, 恍然. 恍然大悟. 恍然大悟. And Sutton is the soul. The soul is the special, the key character. This one is word. Probably. True. So how does true work? Don't work with T. 7 mouse. That's not good enough. But I don't know. Oh, we can do a word search here. So let's see how we can. Sure. Uh, sure. Which is yeah to berate. Is also berate. Sure ma to curse. Yeah, and that's also berating. So at this. Oh, that is not the one that I thought it was. Whoops. Uh, we're gonna use Chima, which is to double skull. That's the one that I would think of. Okay. So what happens when I add to front of Q? What does that do when we get back to the... Okay, so then it adds to our lesson queue. And it will do it the following day. Not the current day, the following day, in order to remind myself of what I dropped. Right, and then is this part of the dictionary? Alright, cool. So that's what we're gonna do. Whenever we pick up something. Right. It's like a separate activity. Whoops. What happened? Okay, wait.
B
What the shredder alone? Not that. Better alone is shabby. This one is either you know or you don't. However, I think we have another shabby. Or like mediocre thing. So and then we already know how this works. So now we can do B. No words. Let's see, B. There's a lot of B's. So maybe if we type, what happens if we type shabby? Oh no. So I could try IME. Oh no. I only have simplified. You can just try it anyway. Actually, it's probably gonna be easier if I do it this way. I do have to update my IME. So, we go here, right? And we go whoop. And then go here. Okay. These worn out shoes. Oh, that's interesting. They used this. Interesting. A worthless thing. How does that help me with B? B is shabby. Oh, worn out shoes. I see. But this is not as a common use of shoes, but I kind of get the shoes here. Oh, wait, no. I've never, wait, what is this? Yeah, I don't know this character. Interesting. Is there anything else we can use? Idiom? Probably not gonna do idioms at the moment. To value the broom as one's own? That's interesting. Oh, okay. And then there's that worn shoes again. Worn broom. Shabby or damaged. That might be fine. Shabby, damaged. Poor B. So like worn out plus shabby, damaged. I like that. Like this is worn or broken, used, very used. So poor B looks good. Okay. Now let's go back. Okay. Oh, B, shabby. I think I'm gonna add worn out.
Lao. Ling.
That's exquisite. Heck. Gemstone. No, jade. Dang it. It's okay. That's either I know it or I don't. It's either jade, exquisite, or gemstone. Those are the lings. Okay. Oh no. I wrote that incorrectly for responsibility. This one we use. Either I know it, I don't. Either you know it, I don't.
Zay.
It's this one special too. Super special. Still there. Still
Xu.
there.
列、绿、
This one's either I know. Now we have scold, right?
是、
是什么? What was the other beret? 赤骂。
真、
This one's rough. Still there, but rough.
冰、
That's a coincidence with Japanese. Okay. Nope.
偏、
Another coincidence.
色、凉、
Okay.
书、
Not that. Not sparse. Something with the finger. Oh no, it's not. It's express. Oh, express in writing. So, pressing the murders. Okay, so there's no like motion. I was thinking like a finger motion of some sort. It's not. Gotta be careful. The key is actually the mace. Present writing is pretty good. What the hut? Hut and finger.
舍、谎、
Soul. The spirit has like, it's kind of like referring to the feeling of being sun. That's kind of how I refer to it. Like, so whenever there's a soul, you get like irritate, remorse, regret, surprise, amazement, shock, all those things. Oh no. I was gonna say, okay, it's probably outside, like way outside, wrong location. Casper. This one is, this one's tough. I am going to, it's probably going to be 吃拼 or 拼吃. 吃拼 sound 吃拼, yeah, 吃拼 is probably what I'm thinking this is gonna be. I probably can find an example of that. Ooh. Wait. The heck? There's a tone shift on that one. Lioness. Oh. Oh yeah. There's a tone shift. Oh no, wait. That's probably a tone. No, actually, no. I don't know. I thought at first that might be a Sandi rule, but huh. So it can acquire two. male and 熊 or male and female. So female and male. 熊 is on the weak. Or grand. Grand, but more like grand. I'm guessing in like a masculine way. Grand. Like a hero, it's probably like there's historics in it. Patriarchal history. Xing works. That's nature or gender. So 子 for female. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, there's a lot of like other things. Gosh. Yeah, female related things. Let's hermaphrodite. Male, female, 同体 body, same body. Male, female. I mean, female, male, same body. Hermaphrodite. Let's see. We're gonna do this. This looks good. No additional need. This is self-explanatory. Oh, 自性. Okay. Going back. That's how we're gonna add to the extra recall. Put in the new context of a word. Right away. This was a...
则
Okay. Makes me want to type law. Otherwise it's law. Piles. Finger didn't really lead to the piles. People were tired of the piles, so he took fingers to move the stuff. That's kind of pile. Not the greatest. So what type of pile will we have? Maybe a mound. 落 maybe like 落丘 or 丘落 or something like that. Or maybe like how steep the pile is or how big it is. There's probably something like that. Let's go at... Okay. Oh! To masturbate. Are you serious? That's the only... What the... Pile? Pipe? What the... Alright. Well... Pile pipe. This almost feels like this almost looks like stroke, but that's weird. Luoguan. I have no idea. All right, well, it's not a perfect system, so let's just stick with pile. Let's go cross-reference. It's rather a physical construction pillar driven to the ground, or well, use this to describe a neatly stacked pile. Okay. But can I get an example? Oh, it's a counter. Oh, it's a counter. So that's fine. We'll just keep it as a counter. So this is used as a counter outside of the vocabulary word. This is a counter for pile. Well, that was interesting. All right. So we'll give it a pass. Let's see. I think this is... Oh, it's then it's 句 G for chewing. G. That's fine. It's the two chews together. Actually, they're pretty weak. Jie, both of them. I actually dropped Jie, the other Jie, nobility Jie. Yes. Alright, we're just gonna have to remember pile.
落
I was gonna say cool right away, but it's probably buys off the buy alcohol. Yeah, 孤酒. Guming is interesting. To buy or to acquire, I suppose. Ji. Oh no, Ji. Oh no, Jiao. This is Jiao for pepper. Uh,
科
it's not. This is not just knock of knockover. Knock in the sense of it is knock over, like knock out or knock into something, but it's not the same as knock as in knocking on. It's the what the
冰
not that it's a tree. It's an actual tree, or like a plant. Betel. That's you know it or you don't. Okay. So how does this work? We had email, right?
丝
Oh, ow. Hmm. Let's say she, familiar, right? Familiar is the bottom C, and rustle up something top the container. Actually, we can repurpose both of them. Rustle. It's probably the other one too. So this is probably C Su or Shi Su Shi. Yep, Shi Shu. Rustling noise. Oh, as opposed to like rustling out, it's onomatopoeic. Okay, that's fine. I was using it as a verb, like to rustle up something. Yeah, these are the two. They're already linked. Expected. Okay. uh
烟
oh, it's not conceal. This is reserved, not conceal. The other one is conceal. Yen. Yen is right.
胶
Nope.
除
That one's puff.
你
Oh, not none. Just like a girl or a lady. Hmm. Do I need something for this one? Let's see what this one looks like. Actually, there are plenty of replacements for this. Okay, needs a last little girl. Dialect. No. Brittany. 布里特尼. It's interesting. Alright, we don't... This is the pass. Hmm...
举
The mouth is the key. Long. Long. Probably loud and clear. Oops. Battle, not pedal.
碗
That one's... Either you know it or you don't.
哈
Oops, that's flour.
姑
Dang it. Lost it. Yeah. I mean, it's buy and sell, which, that's a little weird.
费 西
Eh? Tongue, I, tongue, and then udder. Udder should be okay, because... What type of... Probably tall. It's a bucket, and it's probably like a... Oh no, it's the oil drum. Oh, okay. Yeah, the horse bucket, the toilet. Got nothing. Just gotta know the vocabulary now. Some part of me wants to type like fun or something. It's the right. Probably. Or aunt. Ishun. Fun. Examine the aunt. How do I'm kind of curious. This one. Maybe E or something. Okay, 绳子, which is younger brothers. Oh, interesting. 神圣, of course. Oh, 神母. 神母. So it's the younger's brother. Father's younger brother's wife. aunt in-law. Interesting. And this is colloquial. We're not going to touch family members for now. It's not touching family members. That's that's a whole different story. You got to do like a family tree for that stuff. Every patriarch, like the matriarch, patriarch, in-laws, they all have to be separated by which side of the family they are, and typically stick to something safe for the time being and do immediate family members. The rest you kind of address by name. That's how I go about it at the moment. What? Oh, it's Ren or curl up. I was thinking of roll. There's a rolling too. This is kind of a know it or you don't. But what's another rolling up? Probably Dren. Like Chuen something like that. Chuen Wo. Really, curl up to lie curled up? Yeah, Wo is lie. Chuen Shuo? Curl up and shrink? Oh, cowardling. Interesting. Yeah, to shrink up. Chuen Fu? Chuen Fu. Fu? Oh, bow? You lie with knees drawn up. You huddle up. Oh, interesting. Bend over and curl with the knees up. I see. And then twisted. Oh, coiled. Chi for bent. Curl and bent for twisted. And then Chen Ji. What is Ji? Oh, that's bow as well. So it's all sorts of, it's paired up with every character that deals with like bending or like compacting together. So which one should we pick? Let's see. I kind of like what are weak ones? Wool is pretty weak. Fu is pretty weak, although we just got this in Japanese. Lie with knees drawn up like a fetal position situation. Yeah, like this is like fetal position. Chen, Chi, Chi is pretty weak. Ji like Ji, Chi, Wu, So, Wo. So is probably the strongest. Wo is second. Wu is artificially very strong because that's one of our current Japanese, one of our current kanji. Chi is very very early on, and Ji it just looks like Ji, but I would be kind of hard pressed. Let's do Chuan Fu. Chuan Fu. There's a very visibility to it, so we're gonna add that. All right, that's where all our time is gonna go. Heck, Lang for clang. It wasn't. It wasn't. This one is a memorize. We need to memorize. These are utterances. Onomatopoeic.
Lung,
Oh, okay.
Hu, Heng,
um, or utter or mutter. Tough, tough.
Quan,
Oh, Chuan Fu, right? Chuan Fu.
Tong, Huang,
either hesitate or frighten. Or yeah, okay. It's fine. Frighten's good. And then I need to remember examine
审
for this. It's still aunt, but like we're not gonna touch that. We're just not gonna touch that. All right, cool. And then for vocabulary, we're just gonna take. Should I do some vocabulary? What is it? Yeah, all right.
身躯
他的身躯显得非常优雅。
新颖
这部电影的故事很新颖。
阴影。I want to do gun so badly, but it's not. Right?
目睹
他目睹了历史性的时刻。
Probably just to witness. To see is usually what I would go. Oh man, I can't unsee express. Like these two put together express. Chung. Oh whoops, I mistyped. Roll chung is to knead into something else.
范畴
他的作品属于艺术范畴。
Categorize or like nope. That's wrong tone. This one's a little weird though to monopolize long tone. Yeah, it's a little tough. The thing that makes it obvious is they put it next to 这个公司垄同垄断 not 垄断 so a company monopoly like the monopolized the company monopolized the or the city at the market right 市场 or yeah 市场 oh no why do I think it's Trey? Nope. Tor. Tor, yeah. Tor is saliva. Tor, yeah. Tor, yeah. I want to do gong. That doesn't. Paper. Oh no, 线. Oh. 项链 necklace or a chain.
项链、
Uh, roll, yeah. Roll, yeah. Ding. Oh, that's what it was. Jing for eyeball. Which is to like rub eyes, rub ones. What? That's probably on error. Error is weak, or delay is weak. Hmm. I don't know, Chung. What was the Newton with the crown? Oh, it doesn't stand alone. Yeah, I was flexing between these two and this. Pretty much the three without the one that I'm looking for. Here. Back. Shovel. That's sell, right? Peddler. The pedal or yeah, here's not
耽误、
他生病耽误了学习。
kind is weak.
垄断、
这个公司垄断了市场。
Kinda tough to.
歌咏、
学校有一个歌咏比赛。
兜售、
他在街上兜售毒品。
Show doesn't have much to go on. Doe looks unique. Show doesn't have like doesn't look like a show really either.
.唾液、
唾液在嘴里产生。
聋哑、
为什么有些人是聋哑人？
Deafen. Okay.
遭遇、
他的遭遇令人心酸。
甜吃。哦，舔干。
舔干净，
狗把盘子舔干净了。
Only think of ka. Uh. I can't. Oh no. Wow. Occupate. Let me think of ka right there.
宜人，
这家咖啡厅有宜人的气氛。
Or joy, delight.
揉成，
把泥土和水揉成粘土。
Okay.
歌颂，
我们应该歌颂勤劳的人民。
Like extol. Praise is a bit better. Extol is rough. A positive thing. Okay. Positive.
揉眼睛，
他揉眼睛的习惯被妈妈批评了。
Body part. Ball arm. Yeah. And I had to silence the arm. That's a no or you don't.
雪靴，
冬天时我常穿雪靴。
Oh, tool, not chong. Chong is wrong, right? Radical. Sing tool, believe. Oh, sing tool.
靴子，
这双靴子是新的。
信徒，
他是一个佛教的信徒。
Acolyte or apprentice or a follower, believer. Disciple, okay.
孵化，
孵化鸡蛋需要保持温度。
Heck.
晶莹剔透，
露珠在叶子上滴落，晶莹剔透。
Very like sparkly and piercing, translucent. Okay. Translucent is a fancy word. Thief, probably. Oh, what? Oh, 窃笑. Wrong location. And, snicker. Or like sneaky laugh is okay. Or sneaky smile is okay.
窃笑，大白鲨，
大白鲨生活在世界各地的海洋。
All I got is D.
许地，
政府计划取缔街头小贩。
Um, crackdown. Ooh, that's not that great. Hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. We're gonna go with ban.
胳膊，
他的胳膊很强壮。
Ah. Thing. Who would put a heckin' mountain range in a basement? This is watershed.
如出一辙，
这两本书的内容如出一辙。
Ah. Young. Young. Or itch. Wrong tone. Oh, no. This is probably Jie. And then that's just to conclude. Tie it all up.
分水岭，
这是地图上显示的分水岭。
隐瞒，
隐瞒错误只会带来更大的问题。
Oh no. That's conceal. It's just conceal. Hide and conceal, not cover. Carriage. I thought the right hand was carriage. That's not right. Bloom and page is Jing, wrong tone. Changjing, Lu, which is a giraffe. The page is part of the head. Sometimes pages use part of the head. Why do I think this is...
熏陶，
读书可以熏陶心灵。
熏陶? Some sort of fragrance and pottery plus nurture. This is wild. I have no idea what to do with that one. We're just gonna get past for Xingtao. I have no idea how that ends up being nurture. Xingtao. Yeah. No clue.
长颈鹿，
长颈鹿喜欢吃树叶。
一定。
辣椒，
你喜欢吃辣椒吗？
Or chili. Hot pepper is fine. Not bad, right? So it's John Yen, the drill, and then the drill is kind of overlapping with hairpin and accumulate. Wait. Hairpin doesn't have. Wait, not hairpin. Oh, it's bamboo with double butler. I misread this. This is caveman. Double caveman. And then John would be accumulate. Yeah. Alright. I misread that. So what is that? Jun to delve into? Jun Yen.
缔结，
两国领导人决定缔结和平条约。
The heck? Go Chang. Oh, typo. Spatula. Guo. Whoops. I also messed up Guo. Go is prison. It's like a ladle. Oh, prison with a mouth. Okay.
钻研，
他喜欢钻研古代历史。
Not bad. Can't seem to think. It's a tool. Civ. No way, Jose. That's gonna. Civ. I feel like the gnome and the towel is throwing me off because I have commander. Yeah. Or teacher. Oh, dang it. Teacher is the thing I messed up. Okay. And then bamboo is the Hmm. Holy dude.
谎言，
他不能接受谎言。
筛子，
农夫用筛子清理种子。
Yeah, that's what I messed up right there.
钩子，
他把钥匙挂在钩子上。
Mistaken identity. Uh, it's 内敛 strain, not 变. So, what was that to restrain inside? Like reserve, conserve, reserve. What? No. The right hand is wrong. It's to cut out. It's tie, not tie. And this is this is special. This, it's more like to decide, so overall deciding, a person who's overall deciding, the president.
总裁，发痒，
这件毛衣让我的颈部发痒。
内敛，
他的性格内敛而不善表达。
发愣，
他看着黑板，一动不动地发愣。
Not really, like, dazed.
“发酵”，
这块面包需要发酵。
Ah, dang it! Round 3. Ah, Shang. How do I... Oh, it's without authority. We did the jar thing, did we not? Did I do the jar thing with this? Yeah, special jar of solution. Daybreak solution. I have daybreak. Without authority is whack. Like, it's whack. Okay. I'm gonna skip that for now. On 3.
锅铲，
这是我的新锅铲。
骏马，
他骑着骏马穿过了森林。
What? Oh, wait. Li, not Shi. Not Shi. Li. Wrong type of power.
花瓣，
你可以吃这些花瓣。
Or stem? Flower petal? Oh no, it's petal in the stem part. Petal.
媲美，
这家餐厅的菜可以媲美高级餐馆。
Like rivaled. Okay, like compare favorably while rivaled. The heck? Oh, pineapple probably. 凤梨。
凤梨，机舱，
机舱里有很多旅客。
Like a ship's cabin thing or aircraft cabin. Okay, okay. All right. Oh wait.
奢望，
他对生活有一些奢望。
Extravagant hope or high hopes. High hopes is
恍然大悟，
one.
事情到了这里，我才恍然大悟。
瘟疫，
这次瘟疫影响了很多人。
姥姥，
我每周去看姥姥。
Okay.
遭殃，
因为他的错误，全家都遭殃了。
Just suffered disaster or experience calamity. That with misfortune is okay too. Okay. In my head, all I thought about is everything's gone to kaput. That move. The Dang. What is it? Oh, I typed G, not Z. Dang it. I absentmindedly typed some. High hopes is. I like high hope. All right. We did our 100. Trying to keep it safe. So we got 5. So that those 5 are going to be tomorrow. Oh, there's a separate category. Okay. Neat. So we're just going to toss them in the queue. The question is now the question is if I click on this and then if I click on Russell, does that show up? It does not. So the dictionary things don't show up cross-referenced with the characters. Yeah. So there's no cross-reference, so we'll have to keep them in mind. That's a little tough. Although that's okay because we can always go to the dictionary thing. So what we're going to do is basically if I have a character eventually, so today all 5 of these characters, the main character doesn't have a vocabulary word. Eventually we'll also be adding characters that have a problem to look for alternative vocabulary. So like those with vocabulary I'm gonna try to tie all the vocabularies together, like the vocabularies together, because then you get more exposure of the same character, and those same characters will create a bigger field of view for the character. Like right now, this is like foundational. These are vocabulary words for the foundation of these characters. However, these characters are then used in many other words or phrases or counters or like standalone, and those are going to get lumped together to create a larger circle, and that larger circle will give me a better flexibility. It will train my flexibility for context, because these characters are contextual. Japanese is also the same way, where eventually it gets to the point where when you're reading for all the possibilities. You're not reading for a singular possibility. And that's specifically for reading, not speaking and stuff. Like speaking, I'm going to have a different approach to speaking than other people, probably. Like those who always predicate on one way of speaking or the natural way or the best way of speaking. When I speak, it's finding multiple ways to say the same thing or with different nuances. So the idea is much like English, how many different ways with different tones and nuances you can speak using different words and different ways of scenarios. It's for improvising, right? Being able to respond and adjust. I think for conversation, it's different from what I feel people type. Like for NetSpeak, when people type and talk about things, they talk about it with a single narration. So it's in my opinion, not narrow-minded, but a one-track mind. So like earlier today, I was having a conversation in Discord. Oftentimes when I'm talking to people, they have a one-track mind. They tend to double down on the one track, and then when the track derails, they stop talking, or like basically we don't ever have a discussion. A discussion involves being able to contextualize things as many ways as possible. So learning a language translates to that too. Like I do that as well, where I typically don't look for after foundations, right? Foundations is one size fits all. Like these are the words, that's the only basis here. But then immediately after you get the foundations, you expand. So like to illustrate, the whole goal is you have one word, right? And this encapsulates, like you have characters, right? So you have characters, and then you combine characters, but then characters are encapsulated in a word, which is a circle. However, then you have to expand the circle to include more characters. And that's kind of the idea. All of these we're starting in the beginning. So forming the foundations, the vocabulary words to be tied, right? This is the character that's being dropped. And, right, this was the character that's being dropped. These two don't have vocabulary words, right? Both of these actually, but this one is the specific one, and then this is the other specific one. So then both of these are connected to this now, right? However, eventually, I have to understand how flexible is this character. So, basically, this character will then get larger, and it'll include some other characters. We have other characters to add, right? Another secondary character. And that allows that we can take like two of these characters and then we can form a sentence. And the elements of the sentence will connect these things. So I can create sentences out of these, and through the understanding of the flexibility, I can become more creative about it. Now, whether that is the best way to say something, best ways, in my opinion, best ways are for foundation. We're not in foundation anymore. We're talking about creative process. So with foundation, creating something, you can always compare it to quote unquote the native, I guess, the native example. However, the native example typically represents a tighter, right, tighter, more restrictive way of learning. So you technically learn less. But learn less means also less effort. Like, it requires less effort. Or in a positive way, more efficient. And that's totally cool. I'm like, that's what people like. For myself, we're doing more effort, right? More effort and exploration. And then when I go to compare it to the native, then I get the aha, right? The aha moments. Aha, that makes sense. That situation. However, for myself, I like creating things. So, through the understanding from different perspectives, then you put them together. That's great. I think looking at the best example and all those examples, I can do that at any time. Pretty reasonable. It's also, you learn less and less effort. So that's kind of our approach. And later on, this approach that I'm doing is probably going to end up being incorporated into Boom Pro, and then for the Japanese side of things. And then the way Boom Pro is going to play into Chinese thing is I'll go look at a reference material. Maybe we'll pick up a fun book on Chinese grammar or something to share. I'm not exactly sure yet. I haven't found anything that wouldn't necessarily get me into trouble, or I can't use it for commercial use or something like that. So that's kind of the goal right now for the next 100 days. So this HanziHero will probably be carried into the 600. Wanikani is effectively being retired and being integrated into Boom Pro, because Wanikani is doing less of the discovery process. There's no longer any more discovery process per se in Wanikani. Meanwhile, HanziHero can still do a bit more. Hence the thing. Now, I'm genuinely curious if they're going to update again in the future. So I'm excited because recently there was an update or two, and that's neat. Wanikani is of course updating. I'll probably do a biannual review of all the new stuff that Wanikani has added. Maybe I'll just let the updates pile, and then I'll cover all the content update stuff. I'm not expecting a major back end or routine change to Wanikani. However, HanziHero might have a chance of upending, adding some sort of other thing. This is how we're going to do it now. I don't know how big this display is going to be and how this is going to note, but we can always refer back to our dictionary. And right now I'm going to try to use it sparingly as opposed to liberally, because we don't want to exaggerate too much foundational work. And then we'll be adding sentences to all of them in the notes section, I suppose, or writing sentences in general. It's kind of the idea. I like it. It worked out quite conveniently. It would be nice. I'm gonna have to look at IME and then do traditional, see how I can navigate, because I don't really actually know how to input output text yet, properly through the selection of how traditional Chinese works. So probably it's not too much of a hurry, because you have to type sentences in order for them to contextualize. A IME will have to contextualize which characters you're picking out and being able to construct sentences, even simple sentences like statements, like on the internet, right? Like when you're chatting and stuff, you only type in simple statements. I have to be able to do at least sentence statements or like phrase statements in order to make the IME work a little better. So for this purpose, searching for dictionary is going to be just copy and paste. I think that works as a great routine. Writing a whole sentence in will not help very much on searching up for vocabulary. However, in the future, when I have to write something, it has to be in statements because Chinese has a high homonym rate. So when you're typing single characters, you're going to be scrolling through lists. So like when you write Shen, it's like using a romanized keyboard, right? Using pinyin. It's going to come up, you're going to be scrolling like what I was doing earlier. You're most of the time this stuff clears up in the IME if you're typing in phrases, at least minimally phrases or sentences, because there are only certain combinations of reading in like with the tonal language, despite all the characters having a lot of homonyms. There are only a certain specific amount of arrangements of the characters. So when you start writing in phrases and sentences, they will auto select the correct characters. Usually there are a couple, I can think of 3 or 4 phrases where even if you use like 3 or 4 words together, they will still sound the same, but there can be 2 different meanings to them because there's not enough context. I can definitely see examples where even with 4 or 5 characters together, you can still have multiple meanings to them. Like an IME would still be unable. They would probably select then based on frequency, like how frequent a phrase is being said when you have no other context. Right. These are the things that I typically think about when it comes to like, how am I going to move forward to writing and texting? So the goal right now is not to have long, we're not I move very methodically, I suppose. I don't go from, at least for myself, the impression I get from other people are very different, like not even in my ballpark. My use case is that I'm moving into texting, not speaking, right? So I do try to speak. All of the things when I'm reading out loud and all that, that is an attempt to build stuff, but I'm in no hurry to speak in simple sentences and whatnot. Maybe I can or I can't. That's fine. And then also there's a difference between speaking by stating something and having a discussion. So for me, I'm building discussion. I build for conversation. I don't build for semantics or pedagogic. Technically, pedagogics would be a thing, but I don't build for statement structure. Like, I think the vast majority, when they think about discussions, they're not talking about discussions or conversations. They're talking about stating things. Like, oh, I get nervous talking to someone, because you're not talking with them. You're talking at them. In my opinion, like personally, it's not a bad, good thing. It's a conflict of interest, really. When someone is learning a target language, they want to learn to express themselves. That's not the same as having a conversation. You're telling people things. So I don't aim for that. And the stuff that I'm building up at a very slow pace is the idea of having conversation as the product, not how can I tell people about myself. That's not the issue here, in my opinion. The issue is whenever someone speaks English or whenever they're a native speaker, they already don't talk with the person. And in my opinion, they struggle with expressing themselves. So that's the first thing they're going to work on, which is a very appropriate, right? You learn how to express yourself. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in speaking and discussing with someone through miscommunication, through misunderstandings. So, whether I say something perfectly is not the goal, is how many ways can I say something in order to get to a understanding. So, regardless of maybe how sometimes there'll be inappropriateness, misunderstanding, the idea is when you're having a discussion with someone, you're having a discussion with someone. You're having a discussion in the understanding that you are trying to discuss something. That includes misunderstandings, having difficulty expressing something. You're discussing the nature of what you're trying to say. That, to me, is one of the biggest gaps between me, at least in my opinion, my empathy for other people's problems when they're learning a language. They're focused on perfection. They're focusing on accurate expression of themselves. They're not, in my opinion, they're not interested in focusing on the aspects of conversation. Like, the first thing I would talk about with this hypothetical person, usually 9 out of 10 people, is they would say something like, well, I don't know, I always get nervous. I really don't know what to say or what to talk about. It's like, yeah, you can't even do it in English or in your native language. So that's kind of one of the sources of apprehension. For myself, I have a lot of things to say. So naturally, when I'm learning the language, I'm going to try to say all those things in different ways or mess around and then find out later through discussion with someone else how to say certain things. And then the refinement process, in my opinion, it's way smoother when I have more things to work with. It's way harder when you're trying, at least in my opinion, when you're trying to learn new things while trying to have a discussion with someone. So, like, I talked about this quite often about how people study, like their study habits. One of the first earlier things in college, like when someone goes into college, right? They rarely prepare before heading to class. That's what I mean. You prepare before class. Not wait till you get to the class and then figure out what you're preparing for or what you need to prepare for. You come to class with questions. You come to class with effort placed in on the things you know, and you verify and confirm, right? You test in class what you know or what you think you know. So when you go into class, you'll have questions, you'll have things to talk about, you'll have things that when called upon, you are prepared to have a discussion. Not you wait for class to teach you the one thing that you need to learn right away. The odds of that leading to a conversation is none, like it's not going to happen. It rarely is going to happen. So for me, most of my time in the evening is to get cultured. That's the word I would use. So whenever someone asks me like something, I would at least be able to tell them, "Oh, hey, I haven't looked at that. Give me a day or two so I can look at it so that we can have something to discuss, or I can make a comment about it." And over time, you get to the point where you get cultured enough where you have something to say before the time it occurs. And that's what we're doing here. I must continue to broaden as many things. If I'm not sure what it means, I can at least tell them, hey, I've learned these 6 words. Which word can you describe the 6 words? Then I have something to listen for. I have something to talk to the person about. I think it's very different when you're younger. Right? You're younger, inexperienced, and you like go into a classroom and say, teach me. Teach me what's interesting. And then the younger person would be like, I'm bored. Like, I don't get it. this teacher is telling me that math is interesting, but I have no interest in it. Like, you're waiting to be interested. You're waiting for things to be served to you. You're waiting for the internet to provide you with some interesting video about Japanese or about Chinese. You're waiting for a podcast to be interesting to you. That's very young and inexperienced because you need foundations, right? You need examples. So that makes sense. I usually have a difficult time empathizing with younger people at this point because I'm no longer young and inexperienced. Like, oftentimes when I do something, I have an invested interest in it. So I have barely scratched all the things that are interesting because what I know in English is most of my life. So running out of ideas for Chinese is not going to rival my English. So every single day I have something I can bring to be interested in it. When you're younger, your experience might be limited, and one of the limited experience is having discussions. I stick by this word. I'm probably gonna stick and die by this word because human discussions are, in my opinion, on the internet a pastime. Although ironically or coincidentally, Hank Green started a new podcast addressing this very thing that I've spent like years talking about, like the lack of human discussion or human experience. People don't have discussions anymore online. Not that they don't have discussions, period, as in having discussions outside, like with their parents or an argument or debate. With online, the principal ways people interact on chats, even comments, like the comment section, there's discussions, and forums, there's still discussions. The thing is, the discussion's not happening as it's going. It's happening asynchronously. That deals with curation. So you're not feeling the room as it's happening, right? And that's what I mean. There's a lack of human discussion. There's plenty of like tool assisted fact checking stuff. That's for sure. And we have plenty of these. So it's not that it's lesser. Technically, it's less valuable now because there's plenty of it. It's overrepresented, right? When something is overrepresented, it gets less valuable. That means everyone can do it. So the idea is I'm raising awareness in the sense that how do you get closer to someone? How do you establish empathy, sympathy with a human being who you want to befriend and whatnot? Well, if that other human being also lacks this, then the odds go down. It goes really far down. The odds are very high for tool-assisted fact-checking and exchange of statements because it is the principal medium, like principal function of being online. So how will we address this? Well, through thick and thin, you have to engage in human discussion. And for myself, when I learn something, it is for the purpose of human discussion. And my purpose of human discussion revolves around explaining, testing, right? Explaining and testing. So, like, if I explain this, then I would have to test it against someone to see where it is. And through that interest, I would generally and genuinely have an endless build up or preparation to talk about things. Like today, like this very thing here, I do this for like video games and movies. Someone asked me yesterday, do I do this all the time? Or like when I watch something, do I do this all the time? Yes, I do it all the time. The whole idea is the my major source of motivation to do anything in life is to have an active interest in it. So, in my opinion, as someone grows older, you're trying to starve off boredom, not in the sense of waiting for something uncontrollable to address your boredom. You can starve off boredom, or like you can wield your boredom, in so to speak, in a manner that you develop skills to find interest in them. So whenever someone says something and they give me the time of day, they say one sentence, I'll say 30 sentences. And maybe one day that other person would be also encouraged to share a deep dive into whatever they like, because genuinely that's irreplaceable. Being more efficient, especially in conversation and exchanging ideas, also mean looser and more tenuous connection with other human beings. And you can most certainly do that when you don't care about wanting to be close to anyone or caring about someone, right? Like in any way. For myself, it's often the motivation. So even though I have parasocial relationships with like a director, we were talking about Pixar earlier in Discord, my parasocial connection is to understand the motivation of that person, because that is where the discussion is to be had. It's the motivation of the person, the legacy of the person, the behavior of the person, like your favorite director or your favorite writer or something like that. That is where the discussions are to be had. Facts and iteration of information that is static, that's like saying, oh, the director released 6 movies and these movies are named the following. That is a statement. These are statements and facts. They're not discussions. You're not talking with anyone. You're talking at them. So when someone says, hello, how are you? You're still talking at them, because in my opinion, it's what comes after the greeting that is going to pave the way of discussion. So whenever someone comes up and says, oh, hey, how's your day? I'm like, it's going well. How's your day? It's going well. Thanks for asking, right? Like, and then it probably stops there, because in my opinion, the natural inclination for people, even if it's not their like target language that they're practicing, in their native language, their behavioral response is to talk at a person. Like talk, respond, talk, respond. You're not having a discussion about a topic. It's like reflective. Like, how are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. That's it. Nothing interesting to share. No like invested interest. And legitimately, I stand by this. Every day before I get on stream, I have something to talk about. I don't tell people what I want to talk about. However, if someone shows up and they start talking about something, it will somehow get to that topic. And I have done this for the last 7+ years, actually most of my life, because of like trying to keep my mania in context. Like my mind tends to wander, so it's better to make, for me, it feels better to make a story out of it, to make a purpose out of it, than let it like run rampant. So through the rest of my life, I have more than sufficient story to consistently talk non-stop. I can choose when and where to stop sharing something. That was the source of me perhaps matriculating or maturating from that kid, that 18-year-old, much like most 18-year-olds now, who sits there and listens a lot, but rarely comprehends anything. And what I mean by that is I truly mean comprehend things, where you could sit here and talk to an 18-year-old nowadays and explain this, well, it's too deep situation, and what they gather from it is like, oh, okay, I understand. they didn't understand anything. They simply listened and then filtered as much of whatever it is that is interesting to them. They do not develop new interest from the discussion because there wasn't a discussion. It was a one-way conversation. I was talking about something, they were listening, and then when they go to respond and say something, it would be not relevant to what I said or anything of that matter. They would share their interest. So like someone can, when you watch two people, they're like, I like Minecraft, and then someone says, I like Fortnite, and that's it. Not like, I like Minecraft. Oh, I don't play Minecraft, but can you tell me something about why you like Minecraft? And then when that person describes something, you might be able to relate it to Fortnite, the same reasons you like Fortnite or similar reasons you like Fortnite. Then you create an empathy bridge, which can lead to Minecraft guy playing Fortnite and then Fortnite guy playing Minecraft. That is a discussion. A discussion involves the exchange of ideas and the exchange of experiences. I don't think this happens too much anymore online because most things are asynchronous, and then when they're asynchronous, they are often fact-checked to make it out to statements. So they're rarely ever implications of motivation, intent, or consideration for the many possibilities. It's exhausting too, in my opinion. Like, that's what makes it effortful, right? It requires a lot of effort, and legitimately more than one person have asked me, so what's the point? Why would you want to prepare for possibilities? Wouldn't it be a better use of time to know exactly what you're going to talk about and only say those things? Well, yes, sort of, if you ideally know and can predict whoever you talk to at all times, because if you think that's how humans interact, then you have maybe like one or two humans in your life that will ever reach that requirement. Like going to talk to someone for the sake of being interested in talking exactly the way you want to talk about. That's talking at each other, not talking with each other. Literally was asked multiple times when someone asked, so how do you know what to talk about? How do you prepare for exactly how to talk with someone? You prepare by practicing. You prepare by gathering all the possibilities. But how do you know what they're going to want to hear or talk about? You don't. You partake in the discussion to find out what you're going to talk about. Like, you prepare a lot of different topics and you go and find out what it is that is going to be talked about. Like this is like one of the earlier times whenever a younger person, like someone in their 20s, their first attempt or first participation in becoming a mentor, right? They want to become a mentor, and they often ask like, so I'm a little worried. How would I know how to solve their problems? How do I know how to solve all their problems? How do I know what all their problem is? You don't. You have to prepare for as many of those problems as you can, or you can foresee, and you go and talk to the person, you discuss with the person, and figure out then. You might not even know the answer or the solution at the time of the discussion. The idea is you're building a discussion for it. So for myself, that is what is called the internet. I don't know. I need a fancy name for it. Maybe like the internet anticipatory behavioral pattern that I see often, where someone has to go into a human interaction knowing what's going to happen in order to do it in the first place. Like when you go to meet a new person, the first thing you want to know to make yourself comfortable is you need to know everything about the person, so then you know what to say. You're never going to know that, in my opinion. Like, 99.9% of the time, when you go meet a new person, you're not supposed to be focusing on predicting what they're going to talk about. You're looking forward to figuring out what you guys are going to talk about. Like, you're discovering in real time what is it the two of you are going to talk about together. One person's going to lead, the other person's then's going to lead, they're going to exchange ideas, and it will become more than anything you can anticipate if there is a discussion being had. And the reason why I brought up Hank Green is because Hank Green's new series called Human with Hank Green, his first guest was his brother John Green. And he made this comment on his blog and said, like, well, they're brothers. They've talked about many things. They know each other, arguably the best out of each other. And when they were recording this podcast, they still found new things to talk about. Because when two human beings interact with each other, especially intellectual types, right? Like, it's not bad or good, simply intellectual curiosity. They create emergent discussion topics on the fly. There's consistently new construction over time. It is wild how much, at least in my opinion, the younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha are unable at the moment, or believe they are unable to do this, which is go into something looking forward to seeing what you guys talk about. Because even the language, at least in my opinion, now we're going to dial it back to language, even the language, regardless of what your context is, like if you speak Japanese, that's great. Like Chinese, English, the behavior of conversation, there's no conversational skills. There's no communication skills. So regardless of how good your linguistics are, it may never end up feeling satisfactory when you attempt to have a conversation or discussion, because you genuinely did not prepare for it. Like, you want to be enthusiastic to have something to talk about. It's not whether they are interested or not, because you can't predict that. Or you can try your best, like how the internet works. Like, you like Minecraft, so go to a Minecraft Discord. That still doesn't mean the goal is to go talk about things you know, right? In my opinion, if you think about it this way, how is it even interesting to talk about things you already know? Like, what in my opinion is the purpose of going to talk to other human beings to literally talk about what you know? Like, what I mean is, so that the conversation has nothing to discover, nothing to learn. You don't learn anything from the human being. Like, this is my version of Gen Z speak. What Gen Z does, in my opinion, anecdotally speaking, the vast majority of Gen Z, they go into a conversation with another human being, filtering for everything they know. They're not going into a conversation to learn. Like, when you meet a new person, the excitement of learning, like, say, a target language is like meeting a new person. So whenever I meet, someone drops by and they say hello and they're willing to talk for like 5 minutes, and then it becomes 10 minutes, it becomes 3 hours, because the interest is to learn about that person, not to filter based on everything you know. So oftentimes whenever someone says, I don't understand, I can't keep the conversation rolling, I can't find things to talk about, like, because all you do, in my opinion, the hypothetical person, is that they filter for all the things that they already know. They have no curiosity in learning or making new things with another person. Like I could have no interest in common with another person, and that's interesting. Because if I have no interest overlapping with this person, the first thing I would think is, huh, I wonder what the person's interest is. Because if they tell me that they have no interest overlapping with me, my first thought is, man, that's an interesting challenge. Let's go find out if this person, I can find zero interest in this person. Because that is not common online. That is no longer common online. In fact, most of the time, when people's interactions, they're pre-selected. So what's wrong with pre-selection? You have nothing to talk about because you're not learning anything. There's nothing new. You like you like Souls-like games, so you select yourself into a selection of a selection. Souls-like game, but then it's not just any Souls-like game, it's from this publisher. But then it's not just from this publisher, it's from this developer from this specific time. So then you go into that room and you no longer have anything to talk about. Because you don't need to. It's decentralized. I'm not saying people don't talk in those rooms. They have less new things to discover in those rooms now. Because you are in a room where you're no longer interested in anything new. You're interested in all the things you already know and to build on those specialized things. So you have fewer people to talk to. You have fewer skills to draw interest. Like whenever someone asks, well, I don't have anything interesting to say. It's like, yeah, because you never had to convince anyone to be interested in what you have to say. Right? Like, think about it for a moment. If your entire social interaction is to have the internet facilitate moving everyone that you have common interests with into a room, you no longer have to participate in developing skills in trying to present interest to someone else. Like, you're not going into a random room and trying to explain your interests to a person who is not already established that you know they're interested in the thing you're about to talk about. You have no skills. You have not developed, aka the skill of conversation. As in charisma, your charisma score is like 0. You have to roll a nat 20 in order to get a charisma check, right? And that nat 20 is to compensate for the idea that the person you're talking to will somehow magically and coincidentally in a random room have the same exact interests as you do. And that's where this conversation goes. Like, when I'm thinking about learning a target language, I need to build enough foundation, and then with that foundation immediately expand, so that if I'm gonna be old or be getting information about how to say something in Chinese, well, I better get a lot of it, like hundreds and thousands of it, so that the conversation doesn't end there. It doesn't end at, hey, professor, what's the answer to this? And then the professor explains and say, thank you, and then leave. That is not a discussion. That is an talk response exchange. And again, that is when you're younger. As you get older, you go from college to graduate school to your profession or your professional, then all your colleagues are adults, right? They're all much older. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't happen in the office space in some professions. It doesn't. And that's what I mean by I have trouble empathizing, because a lot of times when I hear other people's stories about their office politics, it's still relatively the same. Like where someone will project their opinions and then they will like mitigate other people's opposing opinions by doing behavioral jabs and mockery and whatnot. Unintentional, but still closed-minded, right? One-track mind and narrow-mindedness. And I agree. The vast majority of, in my opinion, the vast majority, it's easier to simply express your own opinion, double down on your own opinion, and then get that out, and then leave it up to the other person to ask you questions and hope furthering the conversation. And for myself, I like to be the other person. That particular person, not a person who says something like, "Hey, I really love the Super Bowl on Sunday a week ago," and then the other person like, "Yep, I did too." And the conversation, like the exchange, ends there. I like to encourage the other person. "Oh, what did you like about the Super Bowl?" Right? Can you tell me a lot? What was the most like gut-wrenching part of the Super Bowl? What did you eat during the Super Bowl? That's a setup for me, because when I understand the context of the Super Bowl and activities that I would do, but I wouldn't literally do the Super Bowl thing. So that's a great way to connect. So you're creating conversation. So you're the leader in the conversation, and then you hope to hand the baton off to the other person. So over time, your people that are close to you, they will naturally have conversations together, because they will, in my opinion, that will create safe space. It would create a space where, "Oh, hey, tell me about your day," and they wouldn't say, "My day was all right." That is like the to me, that's like a litmus test. Whenever I say, "Hey, how's your day?" and then someone's like, "Yo, you know what? Recently, it's kind of been garbage, man. I had a couple interviews, like admissions are going a little bit wonky sideways. Something didn't check out." And then that's opportunity to talk. So that to me is very reminiscent of how I am going to build and learn things. That's kind of what we're doing. So in the future, I take these vocabulary words and I'm going to think about all the things I could possibly say. Whether they are refined to perfection, that is for later. That is for the discussion with someone. So that's kind of where I'm coming from here. I will probably be talking about this more on like day 600, which is going to be another 3 months, and talk about how I would build conversation. I did all of this actually. Like when someone says, "Well, you never did this as a child," this is how I built it when I was a child. Like around 13, we were pretty much like done with a lot of the foundational grammar, and then we started building vocabulary, and then higher concepts came after, right? In high school, that's how I built English. So to some extent, I'm not necessarily rebuttaling or like counter arguing other people who say, "Oh, to learn another language, you got to pretend like you're younger again." It's like, well, I use things that I have done younger, but now I do them as an adult. So the answer to it is both. You use a balance approach. You use all of the motivation that you have as an adult, strategics. The thing I'm talking about is being older, which is to accept that there's possibilities, uncertainties, preventiveness, improvision, right? Stochastic nature in life. Unlike kids that grow up on the internet, which seems to predicate on the idea that things are predictable. They can only commit to things that are certain. Things are destined to not work out versus things that are guaranteed to work out. In fact, I would like to think that most things do not work out the way a human projects, because that's kind of one of the grandest things about being human. You cannot predict with certainty, despite having a generation of people growing up now thinking that the rest of their life, when they leave the nest or start to live on their own, that they continue to live in incredibly predictable, non-humanistic, minimized human interactions. And I mean, they can probably still have that. It is possible. ChatGPT be your best friend. That's probably the most consistent. And even then, they still, ChatGPT still hallucinates and all that stuff. While it's a euphemism for humans, it's not necessarily a euphemism for tools that you're relying on to be not human, right? AI is to not be human. That's why they're AI. And then humans are humans. One of the euphemism is that when you talk to a human, there's going to be an element of unpredictability. You are, in my opinion, you are looking for that. That is the magic of talking and interacting with another human being. The unanticipated consequences of coming together with another human being, not the predictability of it. So I can't emphasize this enough. When it comes to conversation, especially Japanese and learning target language and all that, the vast majority of the people are younger than me. And when they talk as though they're learning language with predictability. They're talking and speaking and writing in a void of their own predictability, like parasocially. When I go to talk to them about it, which I am another human being, no longer a parasocial relationship, right? That breaks down. They talk like whenever something is outside of their realm of predictability, they lose interest, they are not attentive, and they're not the least bit curious. Which is kind of, in my opinion, hopefully, when I listen to like Hank Green's Human podcast, it would touch upon some of these things. Because I genuinely think that human discussion, which is what education and higher education typically promotes, right? How do you do scientific inquiry? Through discussion with your peers. That's hence the peer review process, right? You're having discussions, humans collaborating, exchanging ideas, and then creating a emergent property of the interaction. Emergent, right? There's other ways to illustrate this. It doesn't have to be science. Emergent gaming, right? A game system where it provides a platform in which the interaction of the human create an emergent property. Games don't really behave like that most of the time, so that's kind of one way to normalize that expectation. It is very clear that the vast majority of people behave as though they don't engage in things by being curious of the uncertainty value, the randomness. It comes with negativity and stigma. That pays, in my opinion, incredibly consistently into learning a target language. It's like, oh, but what if I constantly pronounce this wrong, and what if go talk to someone? Like, that's the whole idea. What if it isn't a problem? What if that problem leads to a new conversation with someone? What if that is the talking point of your consternation? Like, that's kind of the idea of expressing feelings. I'm usually a fairly like trying to encourage people to express their daily lives, the things that they know really well, but they still don't even talk about because they consistently project like, oh, it's not interesting. Like, I asked them, what did you eat for lunch? It's like, well, it's not interesting. I just do it every day. It's interesting to me. Like, or you could argue, oh, they're probably used to it because whenever they, maybe like the first 10 times they shared what they had for lunch, someone else like their age said, oh, that's kind of boring, or they never talk back and never talk with them. That's fair, right? However, there's one other thing. You can make someone interested in what you ate. That is a skill on its own. And how do you do that? You find commonality. You're fishing for things you're interested to find if there's interest between you and the other person. That is what charisma is built on. You are looking, you are ever digging for the diamond in the rough, or just a straight up diamond. That's kind of where we're going with learning language. The goal moving forward with Chinese and Japanese is, how do I create the most opportunities to have something to say in which that other person will have some sort of tangential investment in what I'm saying. That is the essence of conversation. So I don't necessarily dread having to talk to people. It's actually the reward for it. When will it happen? Maybe it'll happen naturally as it's going, or we go find out. I often think that most people, at least the younger crowd who's learning like Japanese, especially Japanese, the greatest dread is the reward that I would imagine learning a language. The greatest dread is to have to talk to other people. And no, you don't have to learn Japanese to find that out, because a lot of times when they speak in English, they share all of those behaviors. Like you ask them, "Oh, it's been a week. What have you been doing?" Same old, same old. Okay, so when you go to learn Japanese, what have you been doing for a week? Same old in Japanese. Then why are you learning all the other parts of the language? Are you trying to become someone you're not? That has reason to discuss, right? Like learning another language is supposed to encourage that, at least in my opinion. Like you're learning words for the second time, or maybe even the third time, or the fourth time. So, in my opinion, it should elicit a reflection, a introspection, or even a retrospection of how you're using your current native language. Do I have a conversation about that very often? No, I actually don't. Most of the time, someone would say, "Oh, I just forget all my habits and my behaviors with my native language because this is different now. I want a fresh start with the target language." And my first thought is, well, based on how you're explaining your thing to me, it sounds like you have no conversational skills. So, do you want to make sure that you can have conversational skills in your native language and work on that while you're learning a target language? Because it's not like you're going to magically develop conversational skills when you have an extra factor to account for, which is the inability to explain something in your target language. And that's kind of like my whole thing from my journey right now in learning a language. The underlying behavioral consequences, the thing that people complain about, the thing that I often ask, why did you stop learning Japanese? It is not, in my opinion, tied to the difficulty of the language. It is often tied to the underlying behavioral consequences of not appreciating or being interested in what a language is used for. Communication. And that, in my opinion, is where it's missing. Now, there are obviously varying factors of people sticking to it long enough, like sticking to it for a very long time and then not using it, right? I think one of the underlying quitting, not feeling rewarded, is the idea that there is no incentive or a lack of sufficient incentive to think about how exciting it is when you get to interact with another human being. Or the thing of the thing, like the thing that you're looking for. Some people, it's just reading books. That's great. So those successful people are the ones that have a point of interaction, even if it's with themselves or through a medium, like through a book, through manga, or something like that. Those are successful. And it does sound like I'm making it sound like everyone fails. No, not everyone fails, but certainly not the majority. The majority are not successful at learning a language. And what I mean by that is internalizing the language. The vast majority of people fail to internalize another language. And what I mean by that is you could even be trilingual and still only internalize one of the three languages, because there's going to be a human quality to it, right? A human dissonance. Like I've already met some people who say like they're trilingual. It's their fourth language, but then they talk to me in English like something that I can't potentially understand. And I would like to think that I'm a bit more proficient than an average person when it comes to English. So whether you can speak, the caliper and quality of your speech, like the exactness of your speech, it doesn't account necessarily for human communication. Like, there are brilliant people who can talk laps around me in esoteric jargon and technicality, and yet it would feel void of any personality or an attempt to have a discussion, right? That's kind of like how condescension works too, where when someone talks to you as though they are there to bless you with their presence and their skill, as opposed to exercising emotional intelligence, right? That's the current state of things, and I don't want that to define how I'm studying. It's not about being right and wrong. It's about having, in my opinion, it's about having things to discuss. If you think things are right, discuss them with another person. Discuss why it is important to be right here and ask them how they feel about this topic. That is a discussion to be had. Not, you know it's right, and therefore there's nothing else to talk about. Right? Anyways, that's what I have in mind right now when moving forward to the next thing. The sentences, expressions, the things that I'm doing, we're no longer, like, accuracy, in my opinion, is overrepresented. Interest, exploration, and expansion is my bread and butter. I'm not here to dictate that I am an expert in regurgitating facts and exactness of accuracy. I'm here to demonstrate that life throws you a lot of things and you find interest in it. And when you find interest in it, in general, I often find that it is often sufficient to resolve itself. Like, resolve themselves in a satisfactory way to the person. So, with that conversation out of the way, I usually end my sentiments as per usual, very similar way. Thank you for hanging out. If you're going to watch this later, 谢谢. As always, feel free to pick up HanziHero, follow along. You are more than welcome to come on by and yap, exchange ideas, exchange experiences, keep each other motivated, right? Until next time, 大家下次见. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.